Hey Aaron, how are you? Ariel, nice to meet you as well. Have a seat in our office. Thanks for coming by, I appreciate it. I like the kicks. I'm still good here, yeah?
Looking at you?
Yeah. Cool? All right. Thank you so much for the time. We've talked to a lot of athletes here. Some of them, if I'm being honest, a little bit nervous when they sit down in front of the camera. You're a pro at this. You've got the YouTube channel, the Instagram feed. I see you're out there, you're grinding.
Yes.
Why is that important for you?
It's huge. It's a vehicle to express ourselves and show who we are. We get 30 seconds, if you think about it, between the 100 and 200 meters. So I'm really trying to get people to understand who I am and take advantage of letting people know my story, where I come from, who I represent, what I do day to day, and what I'm doing this for.
Your stuff is very impressive. Do you have a whole team working for you, or are you editing all of this yourself?
I do it all myself.
Golly, how do you have time to do that and train?
I kind of don't.
Okay.
But I make time because I feel like it's important, and I want to craft my brand because I feel like I want people to know exactly who I am, and especially in an Olympic year. So I have a great team around me in terms of my family and my wife in particular, who helps me manage that role. And so when I can take off the dad and husband hat, I step into like the entrepreneurial business hat. And when I'm off the track, that's kind of where I spend my energy. And it's kind of just going from station to station and switching hats and filling different roles.
Do you feel like a lot of Olympic athletes kind of drop the ball in this regard, where they just say like, hey, I'm here, let me leave it up to my country to promote me, and you show up for 2 weeks and then people kind of forget about you. You're doing this every single week, every single day, it seems like.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you saw people dropping the ball and said like, that's not going to be me, I have to do more.
Well, I would kind of reframe it as I, in the past, have dropped the ball.
Okay.
And so I feel like there was narratives about me that I didn't particularly want to put out there.
Like what?
Well, just comparisons, and I don't think people got to really know who I am. I think they just saw that I was a sprinter and another guy that was on the relay team, and another guy to challenge other athletes in Canada, and that was that. And there was no real depth. And I feel like I wanted to kind of carve out my character because I know I have a story that is compelling and that people might take an interest in. And that goes beyond just track and field.
Which comparisons didn't you like?
Just other athletes that might be in the spotlight more. And
you don't want to name names?
There's people in particular,
okay.
But it's more about who I am, and I want to stand out myself. Any comparison is something that I'm trying to avoid because I'm trying to get into who I am in particular, and everyone has their own unique story. So there are a lot of athletes on Team Canada, and a lot stand out, and I want to be one of those that they say, oh, I know who that is beyond just track and field. That athlete is Aaron Brown, and he represents this.
So let me ask you a very silly question. Who is Aaron Brown? Because you keep saying who I am. So who is, if someone said, who are you? Who is Aaron Brown?
Well, I'm a husband and father first and foremost, because I feel like that's something that consumes a lot of my time and drives the engine and kind of steers where I'm trying to go. Every time I step on the track, I represent my family, and I try to set the example for them because I know when they grow older and then kind of get a better understanding of what it is that their father does for a living, I want them to know that I'm a hardworking guy and I chase my passions. I take advantage of the moment. I'm not afraid to chase things that people might think are not achievable for me.
You mentioned your brand and not being compared to others and being recognized for who you are.
Yeah.
Obviously you've had great success in the Olympics. You've medaled in 2 games, but that's always part of the team, the relay, right?
Yes.
Do you feel like now's the time for you to have individual success, and that will help in doing what you are trying to do here, and people knowing who Aaron Brown is, not as part of Team Canada, which I'm sure you're very proud of, but also as a singular athlete who can have his own success?
Anytime we have success, whether it's the relay or individual, I'm proud of it. I have to be honest, I do want to be on the podium individually, just because I feel like I know I have the potential to, and that's what drives me every day. I want to have the opportunity in Paris to get on the podium as many times as I can. I love my country, and I love where I'm from, and I love who supports me. If I could step on that podium individually and with the relay, that would be the ideal situation.
Despite your success as part of the relay team, do you think years down the line, if you never win an individual medal, it will bother you? It'll be kind of like a hole in your heart?
I wouldn't say that. It would definitely be something that I pursued for my entire career, and I know I went for it full force. I don't think there'd be a hole in my heart, but I feel like it might be an opportunity that I wasn't able to take advantage of. It's a tall task, you know, you're competing against the best in the world and being at your absolute best in 10 and 20 seconds. It's a difficult thing to do, but difficult things are that much sweeter, and that's why we chase things that others think you might be crazy to go for.
How would you describe your relationship with your teammate, Andre DeGrasse?
He's a teammate that I've grown up and known for a long time. We're both USC Trojans as well, so we share a lot in common, both fathers and have family, but I feel like I have a great relationship with all my teammates, and in the relay team in particular, all the guys, we all get along. We have a great bond, and we've been through highs and lows, and we've been world champions together, and we've been eliminated in the first round together.
How do you balance the relationship in the sense that on the one hand, you're on the same team, but you're also competing against each other, right? You want to win the same medal that he wants to win.
Yep.
How's that dynamic work?
Well, I just look at it as like a brotherhood. You know, everyone has their own individual aspirations, and we're all chasing the same thing. And even though we like each other, sometimes you don't want to beat someone more than your own brother, right? So if you think about like a sibling rivalry, it's pretty much what that is. You kind of just say, hey, we like each other, but during these 10 and 20 seconds, you're my mortal enemy right now. And I hope you can perform to the best of your ability, and I come out just a little bit ahead.
Okay, I love that. And he probably feels the same way, right?
Exactly,
This
exactly.
is not a secret.
And then it's all love at the end.
Right,
of the day.
right, right.
Once we cross the line, we did our best, we showed what we could do, and may the best man win.
One thing that I really like about what you put out there is you're very open about your thoughts on the state of running and being a pro and making money and the business, the economics of it all. You speak a lot about this, and I wonder maybe at times if there's backlash against you, because sometimes people, you know, in the organizations don't like when people speak about business like this. Why do you do that? Why is that important for you?
I think it's important because most people shy away from it because they don't want to ruffle any feathers. And if there is backlash, then I feel like it might be because there's something to hide. And I don't feel like I've faced any. Maybe behind closed doors, there's been conversations that I am not privy to. At the end of the day, we want the same thing, which is the best for the athletes, the best for the business side of the sport. I want to see it grow. I want to see it flourish because I know what the sport can offer, and I feel like it's not being shown in the light that puts it in the most positive light. If the sport's doing well and the athletes are doing well, it creates for a better product. And at the end of the day, that's, I think, what we all want. So I like to talk about it because when other people get in the spotlight, they kind of just worry about themselves and making sure that if their pockets are lined up, they're good. And it's like they don't have any sense of unity. And I think that's why we got into that position where we are today, because people just look out for themselves and no one's looking out for the other person.
Speaking of potentially drawing heat, fellow sprinter Noah Lyles.
I have to watch the NBA Finals, and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States?
The entire NBA came after him, and everyone, you know, in between. Do you agree with him?
100%. And if you look at what he was saying, I think what he said got misconstrued, and that was what they were attacking. They're thinking that the NBA is full of foreigners, and you know it's very international, and that is not disputed. But that's not the point he was making. It's just that if you're going to call yourself a world champion, you have to be in an event where the nations are represented, and you're competing for who's the best nation, which is what we do in athletics. And in the NBA, it's just the National Basketball Association. So even though it's made up of international athletes, that is competing for the best in North America because that's all that's represented. That's what he was trying to say.
All right.
Yeah.
I like the way you break it down.
There you go.
A little clearer. I wish you the best. Good luck to you and the team. Can't wait to see you guys in Paris, and keep up the video blogs and all that stuff. It's great content.
Of course. Thank you. I appreciate it.